How Powerful Narcissists Use Conspiracy Against You, Part 3. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, continuing my explanation of how the powerful narcissists control you by using conspiracy theories against you. The history of a nation and the translation of that history into narratives which are disseminated through the media, written into textbooks, and internalized by the mass public are instrumental in shaping the way that people relate to the powerful and the possibility of succeeding in one's own endeavours. National narratives in states that were the victims of colonialism, something which is particularly topical at the moment, or the object of invasions, tend to embody tropes about the unjust distribution of global power, which provides a fertile breeding ground for the use of a conspiracy theory to control. For instance, in Turkey, the formative events of the Republic involved a plot by European powers to dismantle the Ottoman Empire for their own gain. The suggestion of this conspiracy by European powers to dismantle the Ottoman Empire was sufficient to ensure that Turkey formed as a republic. Official histories glorify Turkey's successful resistance to Western interference and insinuate ongoing international efforts to hinder Turkey's progress, i.e., galvanizing Turks to say, look at the West, they've got it in for us. In Russia, long-standing insecurity and ambivalent European and Asian identity are reflected in the insular and suspicious worldview of the ruling elite. Claims about encirclement were common in the Soviet Union's rhetoric and established its foreign policy during the Cold War. Explanations for perceived global injustices tend to favour personalised rather than structural factors and lend themselves to conspiracy theories. For example, in Russia, citizens overwhelmingly fault Mikhail Gorbachev for deliberately weakening Russia and then dismantling the Soviet Union, an explanation that ignores the global and domestic explanations that were prevalent at the time. Instead, there is this widely held belief that Gorbachev was instrumental in purposefully weakening and dismantling the Soviet Union. As the USSR's primary competitor, the United States then finds itself blamed not only for the state's collapse, in which it reluctantly played a part, but also for Russia's later miseries. The West's later involvement is viewed in Russia not as a well-meaning but misguided effort to shepherd Russia's transition to a market economy, but as a deliberate plot to punish its long-time adversary and impoverish its citizens. Accordingly, in Russia, the powerful narcissists there create this idea that the West purposefully came and fucked the place up in order to punish Russia for adhering to a communist ideal previously, as a means of punishing Russia for being the enemy, rather than the actual fact that it was a misguided attempt to impose or instill democracy, capitalism, and a market economy. The enlargement of NATO is repeatedly utilized by Vladimir Putin as a powerful narcissist for the purpose of solidarity creation. The enlargement of NATO isn't seen as a gradual and haphazard process by Russia, but instead is seen as one that's driven by US domestic politics and a premeditated and calculated policy intended to take advantage of Russia. This, of course, has repeatedly been the explanation that Vladimir Putin has advanced with regard to the pursuit of his own interests and control of his own people. If the historical narratives predispose politicians to think about the world in conspiratorial terms, their actual experience may confirm that worldview. The domestic political scene in many transitional and developing countries can make conspiracies seem all too real for three reasons. First, uncertainty. This can have huge effects on political life. Where power holders can't be confident that they will get to the end of their term in office, they've got an incentive to avail themselves selfishly of that position and strike deals which pay off quickly. And who is it that wants things to come to fruition quickly? The narcissist, because the narcissist operates in the now. Just as importantly, that powerful narcissist will anticipate that competitors will act in similarly self-obsessed and self-promoting ways. Therefore, it creates an atmosphere of mistrust simply out of the precautionary principle of avoiding future exploitation. Where there are situations of high uncertainty, leaders risk overinterpreting information, leading to them to favour malevolent explanations over accidents or complex causes in their accounting of events. Who is it that would do that, that would see malevolence where none was intended? Who is it that sees that this is calculated and premeditated rather than it actually being haphazard? The narcissist. And it doesn't matter whether that narcissist is a run-of-the-mill one or a powerful one. That paranoia and interpretation exists. And thus, this acts as a trigger for the conspiracy theory. A second aspect that is going to result in the trigger for a conspiracy theory is intrigue. Politicians gain power through the use of coercion, corruption, backstabbing, deception, character assassination, and various other rudencies. Who's going to be utilising all of those things? Someone of a particular moral compass and upstanding? No. An empathic individual? No, not unless they were subjected to particular duress. No, the use of corruption and deception and character assassination and backstabbing and coercion is very much the work of a powerful narcissist. And it's far easier to do that than build coalitions and carry out the mundane work of crafting policy. Incumbents can find it easier to rig elections by stuffing ballot boxes, compelling state employees to vote, or using their resource advantage to dominate the media. A third reason for the taking of root of these conspiracies is the presence of factions in politics. In some states, the historical struggle over power led to the creation of self-contained groups that continue to exercise influence behind the scenes. This is sometimes known as the deep state. The phenomenon is presumed to exist and is the object of speculation and insinuation in many states. You will be aware that a powerful narcissist in the form of Donald Trump would often talk about the deep state being against him. He would utilize that to gain solidarity with his own supporters, to suggest that there was a group that was acting against the interests of the United States, against his interests because he wanted to make America great again, and to also suggest that these individuals were working at the very heart of American government. Whether this was true or whether it was not isn't the debate here. The fact is that it shows how the presence of factions created the notion of the deep state in the United States and other places, which then, in the case of the United States, enabled Donald Trump to create solidarity with his supporters. Claims of this nature can also appear where the military has long played a leading role, as has been seen in Pakistan and Turkey. Deep state factions often have a stranglehold over national economies, enabling them to block or benefit from privatizing reforms. They often control the means of coercion, either directly through their organizational mission, or indirectly through control over appointments to security agencies. Their economic interests and hold on power are mutually self-reinforcing. The combination, therefore, of uncertainty, intrigue, and secretive factions makes it difficult then to establish what is true and what is false, and the imagination of individuals goes into overdrive. The political environment thus becomes such that small groups can act in a secret way to benefit themselves at the expense of others and get away with it, which, of course, is the very definition of a conspiracy. Or, at least it appears that they may act that way, which is precisely the point of a conspiracy theory. Where the public are repeatedly told of corruption, malfeasance, and backstabbing in politics, but you don't have anybody that you can trust to help distinguish rumour from reality, why not then believe the conspiracy? Leaders who are socialised in such an environment can never ever be certain of the intention of their subordinates, less so their rivals. And of course, a paranoid, powerful narcissist is going to live with a fear that they may suddenly lose their claim to rule. Most intrigue takes place behind the scenes, even if some episodes leak out to the public in the form of rumours. For example, people may hear of a corrupt deal that goes bad, or an official who falls out of favour, or the elites jockeying for position. These rumours may or may not merit commentary by those in power, as they are not very consequential and do not undermine a leader's authority. However, when you have a visible break with the status quo, public allegations of malfeasance, open and large-scale demonstrations of opposition, or violence and instability, this directly threatens the powerful narcissist's need for control and therefore demands a very public response by them. Failure to persuasively account for these missteps can lead to a loss of confidence, which is a further erosion of control for the powerful narcissist. When events visibly target incumbents or call into question their command or power, then the powerful narcissist will invariably utilize conspiracy claims to nullify those threats to control. These conspiracy theories, the power that they provide, the nullification of threat, and the maintenance of the control over individuals means that they become a central preoccupation of powerful narcissists in political positions. Even in states where conspiracy theories lie below the surface and real conspiracies actually occur on a regular basis, politicians still become selective in their deployment of conspiracy claims to avoid exhausting their credibility. The conspiracy theory becomes a very useful tool for the maintenance of power, the maintenance of legitimacy when they are perceived to be under threat, which of course amounts to the maintenance of control. Join me in part 4 as I continue to explain how powerful narcissists utilize conspiracy theories against you.